Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have the Krusac Legend 16 in the Dragon Slayer. We have an ASC Bologna Extra Black and Gold Lucens. We have an ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild. We have an ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild West. We have an Atelier Lusso Andromeda, and this is in the Dragon. We have a Visconti Manhattan Arco, an ASC Il Gladiatore. We have an ASC Bologna Extra Arco Verde, a second ASC Bologna Extra Arco Verde, and we have a ASC Bologna Extra in the Arco Brown. So I think let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail. So this is the lovely Krusac, and this is the Legend 16 in the Dragon Slayer. You can see the cap, you have all of these sort of dragon scales going on there. But then you have this beautiful dragon here. And this is a scrimshaw, and this is a limited edition of 150 pens. Ryan does a lot of these beautiful pens. As I understand it, the artwork is Ryan's own artwork, and he designs this and then scrimshaws it onto what effectively is a antler body. And if I unscrew the cap, you'll see here, has quite a chunky section here. It has a number 6 size JoWo nib. I got a steel nib on this one, a medium nib. I might actually put a gold nib on it at some point. I do like the silver or rhodium plated nib on this one. And I do like how the steel nib writes. So maybe I'll just keep that on there a little bit longer. But I have been contemplating upgrading some of my steel JoWo nibs to gold nibs. And it's just something I could do. Do I want to invest probably $1,000 or more in upgrading those nibs? Probably not. It's not going to make the nibs write any better. But what I could do is maybe swap out some of the nibs. So if I've got a medium nib on one pen, maybe I could get a gold nib on a with a broad or maybe a fine nib perhaps. The next pen inked up here this week is an ASC Bologna. I've not written with this for quite a while actually. It's a Bologna Extra in the black Lucens. I typically call it the black and gold Lucens because it's more goldish than black, or at least 50-50 I would say. I do find that this is a beautiful celluloid material here. It really is quite stunning. This is one of the original Omas celluloids, and you can see here it has the large number 8 size Magic Flex nib. And I guess typically I do go on a little bit of a crusade with some pens. Like with this pen, this wasn't the first pen I got. I think the first one was this one here in the ASC Bologna Extra. But when I like a pen, I typically go and buy quite a few of them. Can you post the cap on this? You definitely can. It won't post deeply or securely. It won't actually post beyond that metal ring there. And because it's celluloid, I certainly would not want to force it, because you might find it will start cracking. But this is a really nice size in the pen. I have to say that I think ASC did come up with a really good design in the pen. It was a copy of the original Omas Bologna, but in a much larger size with a larger number 8 nib. The nib writes very well. I like the weight because it does have a pneumatic filling system in here, and you can see here I will unscrew the back and you'll see that there. So that adds a bit of weight to the overall body of the pen. So from that perspective, it does make it a more weightier pen. I do love it, and it's just like with most of my pens, I've got a lot of pens in my collection, and I do struggle. I write a lot with pens, but I do struggle to use them all, and I don't like inking a pen up for a day and then flushing it out and then inking up another pen. So I will typically, probably like a lot of people, will write that pen dry, and a lot of time I will find myself that I'm writing the pen dry and I'm in the middle of a letter, so I want to re-ink that pen again, and then it will be several weeks, if not maybe 3 weeks sometimes, before I get to clean that pen out sometimes. The next pen is this one, and it's an ASC Bologna Extra, and it's in the Wild Celluloid. Again, this is a celluloid by Omas, and ASC have used this celluloid now on a number of different pens. I've got it in a Wild Eversharp. I've got it in the ASC Bologna Extra. It is a celluloid that I do like. It's black with these sort of creamy white veins going through it. And you've got a number 8 size Magic Flex nib there with an ebonite feed. Again, it's a pneumatic filling system. You can post the cap, but again, it's not going to post beyond that metal ring. So it's really not going to post that deeply or securely. It will wobble about a bit. So these are not, I would say, for the most part, are not designed to be posted. However, sometimes you do get some ASC Bolognas that you can post, and there really isn't a lot of difference in the design other than maybe the cap is bored slightly wider, perhaps, so that it will allow it to post. The next pen inked up is this one, and this is a Chatterley Luxuries exclusive, but it is an ASC Bologna Extra, and this you'll see here on the cap band, it will say Wild West. And when I saw that Brian had this special edition, I really thought, yes, I like the colour in this. I like the red and blue. I also like that it's got a Wild West theme to it, even though I guess technically it is just that cap band and nothing more. But still, I do like that theme to it. So again, this has a number 8 size Magic Flex nib. Now, one thing I will say with the Magic Flex nibs is that these chevrons here are laser etched, so and they do go quite deep, so ink will pool on those, and it will look as though it's staining, but once you flush the pen out, it hasn't stained. And again, you could post the cap. This one posts a little bit more securely, but again, it's not going to post deeply. It doesn't go beyond that band, but you can do. And then it does also have this lovely band here on the section. It's a nice pen, and I have to say it's a pen that I do like a lot in my collection, and it has a bit of a weight to it, a bit of girth to it. I like the number 8 size nib on these, and like I said, that when I start to get a pen that I like, I typically go and buy multiples of that pen in different designs or different patterns. The next pen here I have inked up, which I've not inked up for a long time, is this is a Atelier Lusso. I think I actually called it a dragon actually in the intro. It's actually the King Cobra. You can see there. It has a cobra there. Now, I do actually have a dragon as well, but this one is a King Cobra. But I really do like the material in this. Lots of golds and bronze and silvers, and I like that it's got this King Cobra there on the cap. I wish more pen artists would do that, where the cap has something like that on it. It has a number 6 size Yovo steel nib. It's a broad nib. I typically do like Yovo broad nibs, the steel nibs. This design will not allow you to post the cap. A lot of flat-ended caps will not. There is a bit of a step down on this because when you put the cap on, it will be flush with the body. So if you, and also you will find that a lot of pens that actually have a flush body there, will not be able to be posted, whether or not it's a flat end or a cigar-shaped pen. The next pen is quite a rare pen. It sold out within, I want to say, minutes of it being sold at the, I think it was the, I want to say it was the LA Pen Show. I was just thinking it was DC, but it's not. It was the LA because it was in February when I got it. And I managed to get Sarge to pick this up with the next pen as well, which I will show you in a bit. But this was a mega limited edition pen. The beauty of this is that the actual limited edition run, and I don't think I can actually see it on here, but you might be able to see it. I think it's 70. 70 pens. I will now actually have to go and look it up because I know with this pen it is a little bit difficult to see it. Yep, I was right, 70 pens. But I do know that 70 of these were not made because there were a number of breakages in the production run, and I think it was more around 35 to 40. It does have an ink window. Sections are a little bit on the thinner side, but it is a Visconti, and it has, this was the original in-house, the first run of the in-house nibs from Visconti with an ebonite feed. It's quite a stiff nib. It's not a bouncy nib. It doesn't feel like a Bock nib. The cap will post as well, so you can post that cap if you want. I'm going to ink this one back up again. It's a beautiful pen. I really love it. And I know that there are probably only around about 35 or 40 of them in the world. And a lot of us collectors have got them. I managed to, I said to Sarge just before he was going, I said, I want one of these. Can you please get one? And he was able to pick one up. Along with this one as well, I also wanted the Il Gladiatore. And this is a beautiful pen. I like the Arco. I like that it's a little bit more browner or maybe bronzy looking, that Arco. And again, this only had 70 made. This is number 14. It really is a beautiful pen. I like it a lot. And yes, you'll see that it has a aluminium section that is coated in or plated in PVD, plated in gold. And then you have a little bit of a darker brown, almost sort of ruthenium plated nib there. But it's an interesting pen. Writes super wet to start with. It starts to become a little bit more drier. It's a piston filling pen. You can post that cap and it posts deeply and securely. It's just, it's a pen that I like. And you can align the Arco. There's 3 starts to the threads. But it's always a little bit of a challenge when you haven't been with a pen for a while, remembering where each pen thread starts to get it to line up and match 100%. Now, the next pen here is a ASC Bologna Extra Arco Verde. Now, interestingly enough, I wanted one, and then I figured, actually, you know what, I'm probably not going to get one, so I will hedge my bets with 2 different retailers, and I'll go for 2. And then I can always sell the second one if I wanted to. And then it very looked much so that the 2 were not going to come in. So I then picked a 3rd retailer who then managed to get me 2. And just as I had paid him, I got... so the 3rd retailer was Mario at Pens in the Attic, or from the Attic. And the first retailer was Sarge, and the second retailer was Ray at Vintage and Modern Pens. So I then got word from Sarge that my pen had come in, and then word from Ray that it had finally cleared customs and the pen was mine. So I ended up with 4 of these. So I've got 2 of these inked up. There are 2 that I have never inked up because I've always thought that maybe I would sell them. These have a number 8 size nib there. There have been a lot of these for sale, along with the Arco brown ones, over the last few years. People have asked me if I want to sell them. Some point I probably will do. I don't need 4 of them, but yeah, I possibly would sell 2 of them at some point. I still am not too sure that I'm at that position yet to want to sell them, but if somebody made me a very good price, I possibly would. You can post the cap. It won't post deeply or securely, won't go past the ring. It is a pneumatic filling system as well, and again, you've got 3 threads here, and one of them will line up 100%. But I do like that one. So that's in the silver trim. So I've got 2 in the silver trim and 2 in the gold trim. And the idea really was I wanted 1 in each trim. So I wanted 1 silver and 1 gold. And I ended up with 2 silver and 2 gold trims. But this is the gold trim. I'm still a little bit torn because I think the silver-like green Arco Verde, I think the silver trims go nice with it. But also, I find the gold trims quite inviting as well, and actually make it stand out a little bit more. So I'm still torn. More than several years on now. I think it's probably 4 or 5 years on that I'm still torn on what is the best, the silver or the gold trim. Again, it has a number 8 size nib, but this is a gold coloured nib. It is a 18 karat gold nib with an ABS plastic feed. And I do think that this feed is a little bit more reminiscent of a Pelican M1000 feed in terms of the thickness of the feed. It holds a lot of ink, so that is good. And that basically makes it a wet writer. And again, I will try and get the patterns to line up. There you go. It sometimes takes a little bit of time, but you can get them to line up. And then the last pen is an ASC Bologna Extra in the Arco Brown, or Bronze as some call it. Again, a beautiful, beautiful material. This is the one that, I want to say started me off. There was another one prior to that, which I still have, that was the ASC Ogiva Tribute, which is a smaller pen that was very similar to the ASC, or the Omas Ogiva, I should say. But this is a very beautiful pen, and if I unscrew the cap there, you'll see it has the original design of the nib, which a lot of people didn't like, and ASC changed it to a newer design. But again, it's a number 8 size 18 karat gold nib with an ABS plastic feed. You can post the cap again, but it's not really going to post deeply or securely. But if you have to, then you can. But there you go. I got that one lining up first time. So that's my 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's now go and do a writing sample. So the first pen inked up today is the Ryan Krusac Legend 16 in the Dragon Slayer. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I had deliberated over getting a Ryan Krusac pen for quite some time. I want to say it was at least a couple, if not more, years. And I saw the Dragon Slayer, and I just thought, I saw a message from Ryan Krusac saying that he'd injured his, I think it was his shoulder, and that he probably wouldn't be making much pens for much longer. So I decided to jump at it and get this one. And of course he still is making pens as well, but maybe it has slowed him down a little bit. So this is the Ryan Krusac Legend 16 in the Dragon Slayer. And I am partial to dragon pens, so this is a medium and it's a still Yovo nib, but maybe I will upgrade that nib at some point. And then the ink in here is Noodler's Apache Sunset, which is the original bottle. It's not the, is it the South or Southwest Sunset? I can never remember what it is, but it's not. It's the original Apache Sunset, and honestly, I don't think there's any major issue in calling it Apache Sunset. But yeah, maybe Arizona Sunset or something along those lines might have been a little bit of a better name to have called it. But you live and you learn, I guess. The next pen inked up is the ASC Bologna Extra in the black and maybe gold Lucens. I say maybe because it's technically the black Lucens, but I call it the black and gold. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And these are super wet nibs. So these are going to feather a bit on Oxford Optic paper. Oxford Optic paper is pretty good, but it's also not Tomoe River. So this is an ASC Bologna Extra Black Lucens. And it's a medium and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And I really do like how this writes. And then the ink in here is KWZ and it's honey, which again is a lovely ink, and it's an ink that I always keep going back to. It's an ink that just I find it flows really well. It's very well lubricated. It's nice and wet in a wet pen. It just everything about that ink is for me is just nice. The next pen inked up is the ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild. Now, I typically do have a green ink in this pen, and I've got a green ink, but it's a dark green ink, so almost, I would say, black. But this is the ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. You can see there that as it becomes less saturated the feed, it does typically write a little bit more greener. And then the ink in here is Diamine Sherwood Green. But that is a nice nice writing pen. Again, I do like those ASC Bologna nibs. They are larger nibs, which I typically do prefer, and they are super wet and also nice and smooth. I said it before, I'll say it again. If you have a super wet nib that puts a lot of ink down, your nib is going to be gliding over a surface of lubricated ink on that paper, and it will just feel very, very smooth. The next pen inked up is the ASC Bologna Extra, and this is in the Wild West. So we'll do an ink swatch. But this is, again, another beautifully writing nib. The ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild West. And I hadn't actually thought about it until now, but I have one in the Wild and one in the Wild West. But yeah, that's and you just thought of that, seeing the two being written there side by side. It's a medium and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Poppy Red. And I have sometimes inked this up with a blue ink. Typically, I will ink it up with a red ink. I think because I'm not a great fan of a lot of blue inks, and I typically will gravitate towards red more than anything. So I think that might be the reason why. And also red inks, I typically find are easier to clean out than blue inks. The next pen inked up is the Atelier Lusso Andromeda in the King Cobra. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is another gold ink that I kind of like, or have liked a lot in the past. So this is an Atelier Lusso. I think it's actually Atelier is it actually one L or two L's? I actually forget. It's one L, which is good because that is an I. So it's an Atelier, Lusso, Andromeda. And it's a King Cobra. And this has a broad and it's a steel Yovo nib. But I like it. I really do like the steel Yovo nibs. And then the ink in here is a KWZ Old Gold. And that is a nice gold ink. If you really want a gold ink, then certainly look at KWZ Old Gold if you want something without shimmer in it. The next pen is the Visconti Manhattan Arco, which was made by, or for ASC by Visconti. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And I do find that this was the very first batch of the in-house 18 karat gold nibs from Visconti. They were very fine, even though this is a medium, and very stiff. So this is the Visconti Manhattan Arco for ASC, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Diamine Ochre, which is a nice ink. I think I would have liked that nib to have been a little bit more bouncier than it actually is, because it really does feel like a steel nib in that one. The next pen inked up is the Armando Simoni Club, and this is the Il Gladiatore. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this does have a bit of bounce, even though it actually has an aluminium feed to it, which is kind of strange for a pen. So this is the ASC. So hold on, let me prime that piston a little bit more. It's the ASC Il Gladiatore. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is also Diamine Ochre. And what you'll see here is a very sort of shade or hue of colour of difference between the two. One that is a very fine and dry writing nib versus a very wide and wet writing nib. The next pen inked up is the ASC Bologna Extra Arco Verde. So we'll do an ink swatch here. But again, these ASC nibs do write very wet. They're not great for writing in journals if you want to turn the page quite quickly. This is the ASC Bologna Extra Arco Verde. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. These are called Magiflex nibs. And then the ink in here is Akamon, Bazuden, Woodgrown. But that is a lovely ink, and it's an ink that I do like writing with a lot. And then the next pen inked up here is, again, another ASC Bologna Extra in the Arco Verde, but this is the gold trim version. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, having a gold-plated nib, well, actually, they're both gold, 18 karat gold nibs, but having a gold or rhodium-plated really doesn't make a lot of difference in terms of how it will write. But this is the ASC Bologna Extra in Arco Verde. But this one does write a little bit more wetter, I do find. But it shouldn't make any difference, really. And then the ink in here, again, is Akamon Bazuden Woodgrown, which is an ink that typically I dedicate to these pens. But that is a nice coloured ink. And then the last pen here is the ASC Bologna Extra in the Arco Brown. And we'll do an ink swatch here. And this, it wasn't the first pen I got from Sarge. I got my classic pens LM1 and LM5 from him. Might have even got some more from him between that. But this is certainly my first Arco pen that I got from Sarge. So this is the ASC Bologna Extra in the Arco Brown or Bronze. And it's a medium and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Ochre. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. So we have a Ryan Krusac Legend 16 in the Dragon Slayer in a medium steel nib inked up with Noodler's Apache Sunset. We have an ASC Bologna Extra Black Lucens in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Honey. We have an ASC Bologna Extra Wild in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Sherwood Green. We have an ASC Bologna Extra Wild West in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Poppy Red. We have an Atelier Lusso Andromeda in the King Cobra in a broad steel nib inked up with KWZ Old Gold. We have a Visconti Manhattan Arco in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Ochre. We have an ASC Il Gladiatore in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Ochre. We have an ASC Bologna Extra Arco Verde in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Akerman Bazzoud and Woodgrown. We have another ASC Bologna Extra Arco Verde in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Akerman Bazzoud and Woodgrown. And then we have an ASC Bologna Extra Arco Bronze in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Ochre. So there you have it. That's my current ink pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye-bye.